recording. And once again, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the town hall. Again, I'm Christopher D. Greif. With us is also Tina Vale from the Bronx Advisory Council.
She's the chair. This is Deborah Greif, Brooklyn chairperson, and Tina Vale and I are both statewide representatives for the Family Support Council.
So before we move on and we do our welcomes, first of all, let's do a nice big welcome screen. As you know, we're here today to talk about the coronavirus 19. As you see, we have Brooklyn as Deborah and statewide, Tina Vale, chair and statewide. Aaliyah will be joining us in the evening. She's also chair and statewide. Altogether, it's a BBQ moment. And also is our other special guest star. She's young, she's strong, and everybody agrees with me, the vote was unanimous. Wonder Woman, Maria Mark, or you can call her Miss Triple M. Well, because it says on your screen. But before we do that, housekeeping rules, very important. Everyone should be on mute unless you're the speaker or the borough advisory chairs. You will be between on and off mute so we can make sure we can keep the sound in a calm way so everyone can hear us live on this recording. Also remind everyone, if for phone people are on, if they're on, *6 to mute, *6 to unmute, *9 to raise your hand. Those are the ways to do the phone way. People on computers, it is important. You have two ways of raising your hand. On your station, which is a nice big box, you will see a mute, stop video, and 7, you'll see the number 7. Click on that, and that's a way you can get to raise your hand. That is one way. The other way is on the bottom of your keyboard is a L, is a capital A, low L, and low T, right next to the base bar. Click that and the letter Y, and your hand will be raised. So please, everyone, please make sure that your hand is raised when we're ready to do questions and answers. That will be after our special guest stars will be speaking, giving you all this great information of dealing with coronavirus 19. So please make sure at this time everyone should be on mute, having a cup of tea, have a paper and pen ready with you, something hot. And I like to remind people coming on to please mute as you're coming on. So therefore, we have no echoes at all. We are welcoming, seeing other special guest stars joining us. Welcome. So right now, before we get on to our special guest star, first Deborah, the chair of the advisory council, will say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. The Brooklyn Family Support Advisory Council is very glad to be co-host with my other two counterparts, Tina Vale, and this evening will be Aaliyah Cinch, and Tina's the Bronx, and Aaliyah's Queens. We are concerned because, you see, since our children live at home with us, we want to know and we are living in New York City. This is our counties, and we need to know, work with the city to make sure we can keep the coronavirus or COVID-19 as low as possible, any ways we can to stop the spread, bring down if it starts to spike, because many of the families do have to work, and many of their children actually may be working, but they also go to day house. Or if they're in school, we need to make sure they're being able to go to school. So we are very pleased that New York City, from the mayor's office, especially, we're so glad that Maria Mark is with us, and that we can work together to figure out ways to keep this COVID-19 virus as low as possible so our families can have somewhat of a normal life. So that's my words.
And also, this is Deborah's information, office number, and as well as email. And also, the Brooklyn Advisory Council does have a website that will give any help of any information you need. Especially, we do have a page called Prepare for Corona-19. It does get updated every week, including has meetings, it does works together with the DD Council, with their subcommittees, and much more. So please make sure you have this information. Now, moving on to cross the bridge, over the waters, and everything else. Tina from the Bronx.
Good morning, Tina.
Good morning, everyone. I think Deborah said it all, but I just wanted to say thank you for setting this up, Christopher, and I appreciate we need to get the information out to as many people as we can. And thank you all for taking the time out to come and do this presentation for us. As you see, my information is on the screen also, and we hope to have a good turnout, hopefully. If not, like you said, we're going to tape it and we can give it out later on. Thank you again.
Thank you, Tina, for co-participating. I love working with you. Thank you.
And as you say, Tina from the Bronx is from the other end of the B train line.
Yes, right. We go
Now,
both
since we are showing the Whitestone Bridge, over the Whitestone Bridge
back
is to Queens, which is Aaliyah Hussein, who is right now in a moment right now, and I apologize for the screen popping. Tina, Queens Advisory Council Chair is Aaliyah. It's funny because Aaliyah, Tina, and Debbie are both three of the statewide members that go up to Albany. This is Aaliyah's information. You can visit her email, and she is the new chairperson, but now she's chair and statewide. This is her information. So I encourage everyone to try to attend one of these advisory councils or send them their information so they can share to the families as well. So please make sure you do that. And moving on now, our special guest star, Maria Mark. Maria?
Whenever you're ready, my dear.
Maria Mark. Yes, Maria Mark. As you see this lovely little new graphic I put up. Yes, and she doesn't realize she's like on a big screen from here, but she is what we call her. We know her for a long time. Maria had so many titles. If I mention all the titles, we'll be here till next year.
All right, can I please say it? Maria Mark is from the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit. Maria also is one of our representative members who are community board members. Since I am a member of my local community board, Maria Mark is my liaison. So anytime I have issues, whether it's, say, COVID-19 or any other issue, I can contact Maria to ask her to help us. So I want to thank you being a great community board liaison. And everybody, we all have community board liaisons through all 59 community boards to the mayor's office. Thank you, Maria.
Yes, and Maria, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop my screen, and you're going to activate your screen.
All right, we're going to activate.
So how's everything going?
Okay, I got it.
Who said hello?
No.
Second.
We have to mute everyone.
Okay, as people are coming on, as Maria's going to do her presentation, just going to remind everyone, no, you're just coming in a little late. It's okay. At least we're doing pretty good because we're getting some of the top famous people, Maria. So you got the top people. But guess what? More the merrier. We might see more in the nighttime.
So here we go. I'm going to share my screen.
Here you go.
So this presentation, first off, I want to thank Chris, Debbie, Tina, and everybody who's on today for participating. The information that I have, some of it is very new, some of it is very old, same things that we've been saying, but we definitely need everybody's help to push out this information. Unfortunately, we have seen some areas spike up, not every area. Some places that were spiking up before are now going down, which is wonderful. We want to see that for the city as a whole. We cannot get into that mindset that we are so comfortable that we stop doing the kind of things that we've all been doing for so many months and keeping the city on the right track. We don't want to see businesses, schools, houses of worship shut down. We don't want to see gatherings have issues where they have to be shut down. These are all things that we're trying to prevent. So the presentation that I have today, and there is a disclosure here, COVID-19, whether it's talking about the specific spikes in cases or whether it's talking about the disease itself, it's rapidly changing. So the information that I'm presenting is as of today. This does not mean that what we knew months ago was all wrong. It doesn't mean that what we're going to, so that's not the case, but there are things in this slide that don't apply to things that happened even 2 weeks ago and may not happen in 2 weeks. So that's why I want to make sure that this information is as of today. So as of the 22nd of October, so a few days ago, these are the spikes that we're seeing. They're in Brooklyn and Queens. I'm going to give a presentation based on what we have today, but I'm going to also talk about what happens if these are not going to be the spikes in a few weeks. If we're going to have a spike in the Bronx or in other parts of Brooklyn or other parts of Queens or Staten Island or Manhattan, anything like that, this is going to be good information to know. And if it does happen, that we do have to have certain clusters, as we've been calling them, in other areas, which of course we are hoping to not happen. The information is going to generally stay the same, hopefully, when it comes to the definition about what a red zone is, the yellow zone, and an orange zone. But this is what the map looks like for this week. Last week, it looked very different. There was orange zones, which we don't have in the city anymore. There were a lot more red zones, and so we don't have that. And there is now an additional neighborhood that was added, unfortunately, to the yellow zone in Queens, which we did not have when the original map came out. And these maps are from the governor's office. So the governor's office are the ones that create this. They have a formula, and this is what they give to us. Very simple thing, because whether it's today or in 2 weeks, or if the maps change in a month, how do you find your zone? Hopefully we won't have cluster zones in a month, but we can't know that for sure. So the easiest way to do it, how to find my zone, is a very simple website, nyc.gov/COVID zone. Website's right on your screen. All you have to do is put in your address. At the end of the presentation, I'll give you a very quick tutorial as to how to do it, but it couldn't be more simpler. So we try to make it as easy, especially for people who may not be tech savvy, especially for folks who may not have language capabilities. So I'll go through that with you afterwards. And the beautiful thing about this is it's not just going to tell you what zone, but also what that means. So if you're going to be in a yellow zone, it's not just going to say yellow zone and that's the end of it. It's going to explain what that means for small businesses, schools, houses of worship, food establishments, and gatherings. Right now, the two zones that we have, red and yellow, I'm going to go into them in detail, but I'm going to explain also how to find the additional information. In a red zone, which is currently part of Brooklyn, all public schools are closed. It has to all be remote learning. That goes for public schools and also non-public schools. So charters, private schools, everybody has to close in a red zone. All non-essential businesses are required to close. The non-essential businesses are the ones that are noted from the state. They had put this out when COVID-19 first started, and the governor defined what was considered essential and non-essential. The link, and I'll show everybody how to find that just in case. But that's generally the guidance for this red zone. And in addition to that, in the same way that we had in the beginning of the COVID-19 spread back in March and April, and at that time there's no indoor or outdoor dining, but restaurants, bars, cafes, and other food establishments can do takeout and delivery service. So can't eat in or out, but you can do takeout or delivery. Houses of worship, unlike the beginning of the outbreak, houses of worship are able to open. They do have a max capacity of 25% or 10 people, whichever is less. So that means that if you've got a very large establishment, and I've been to some very large churches and synagogues that may normally have hundreds of people, it's not that they can do 25. Let's say they have 200 people, they can't do 50. They can only go up to 10, and that's for indoor or outdoor, I believe. But that's oh well, actually that's for indoor guidance. For gatherings, so non-essential gatherings, that's everything from birthday parties and weddings to meetings and demonstrations, anything like that. In a red zone, you cannot have any non-essential gatherings at this time. If you are found to have a non-essential gathering, and let's say it's for multiple days, you're going to be charged $15,000 for every day. $15,000. So if you've decided to have a 600-person wedding, and you wanted to have it for 3 days, oh, you're going to have quite a bill. So you're going to have it's going to be a much more expensive wedding than you originally anticipated. But we do not want to see these non-essential gatherings of any size in a red zone, because that is how the virus is spread. It's very difficult to keep social distancing when you have a large amount of people, and so we want everyone to be safe. For yellow zones, I'm going to skip over orange because we don't currently have it, but I'll kind of briefly talk about that as well. For yellow zones themselves, schools are open. Public schools, private schools, all schools are open the same way that they were before the zones went into effect. If a school decides that they want to be fully remote, let's say they're a small school, that is not a problem at all. But if they want to be open, they can. The difference is that 20% of students, teachers, and other faculty have to be tested every week. Now, there has been some questions about who can be tested. A parent has to put in a consent form in order for their student to be tested. They will not be testing students who are just there just to say, oh, we're calling everyone with a certain last name, or whatever the way that they would do it. And so for everyone to know, that is the guidance. That's the only difference between a yellow zone and a no zone. No zone is parts of the Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, a few parts of Brooklyn, and a few parts of Queens that don't currently have a zone. That's the only difference between those areas, and the yellow zone is the testing requirements. In those other areas, students can get tested, but it is not a requirement for the school to stay open. For businesses in yellow zones, everything is exactly the same as it is in the other zones. Pretty much, you can have your business, do what you were doing, once your industry was opened up. Of course, that means face masks required, and temperature logs for employees are required, and any other social distancing, anything else that is required for your type of business, that still has to be, but that's no different than any other part of the city that is not in a zone. Food establishments, very similar to most other parts of the city without any color zone. Indoor and outdoor dining is allowed. The indoor dining, as in all parts of the city, is a max of 25% for capacity. Outdoor dining is as long as you're 6 feet apart. The only difference in a yellow zone versus another zone is that there's only a 4-person max per table. So you can't have those large parties that you might have wanted to have. You can't even have, like a 6 or 7-person birthday party, something like that. So that's the big difference. Houses of worship, absolutely no different than any other part of the city, 50% max capacity. That is how it used to be. And for non-essential gatherings, it's limited to 25 people, and that's for both indoor and outdoor. The fines are the same, $15,000 per day. So again, if you want to have a major gathering and you are in a yellow zone, you will get fined. But if you are just going to have a gathering, let's say a meeting, like a meeting like this, but instead of having it virtual, you wanted to have it in person, you would be allowed to do it as long as there is no more than 25 people. That includes the presenters. For the orange zones, the big difference is The schools are closed the same way they are in red zones. The businesses are, some of them are open, some are not. Personal care and gym facilities, so things like nail salons, hair salons, gyms, those are closed, but other businesses are open in addition to the essential businesses. Indoor dining is not permitted, but outdoor is. And again, 4-person max per table, even in the outdoor. House of worship is at 33% capacity, and the non-essential gatherings are limited to 10 people. So you can have a small gathering in an orange zone, but not more than 10 people. Again, I'll explain how all of that, you can find that information in an easy way. But the big thing that we want to do is we want to prevent more places from becoming in one of these zones. And the easiest thing to do is we're going to stop the spread. So these are the same guidelines that we've been talking about for months and months. I don't have to go too far into it, but stay at home if you're sick. It's a no-brainer. You'd want that under any circumstances, even if we aren't in a pandemic, because you don't want to be that person to come into work with the flu and then get everyone sick. So we want to stay home. You can leave for essential medical care, of course, but you really want to stay home if you are sick. Keep social distancing. That's the 6 feet. Talking about this for the longest time. Keep your hands clean. Wash with soap and water, 20 seconds. If you don't have soap and water, sanitizer, alcohol-based sanitizer, just like Chris is showing. And of course, the thing that I know that we've been talking about that's literally on your shirt, Chris, and that everybody has been so good in specifically in this group, is wear a face covering. I know earlier before the meeting started, we were joking around how my toddler shames adults who are wearing masks on their chin or they don't wear it. It is so simple to protect people around you and to protect yourself. It will help you if you wear a face covering, but even more so, it'll help everyone else. And we want to be good neighbors. That's really the, I'm from the community affairs unit. So my goal is to make sure that the community is safe. And so.
And Maria, before you change that, let me just double team with you. Remind everyone also, face masks are also available at train stations as well. Please make sure you visit a ticket booth. If you see a person wearing this shirt, giving out masks, and you're going to say, I already have one, it doesn't hurt to grab another one because you never know, someone else may not have a mask. And you're saving that person's life, especially the $50 fine. So if you see this person wearing this new shirt, which I'm wearing, Mask Force, please make sure you are wearing one.
I love it. I love it.
Yes, I know. You can't miss it. This bright yellow, you can't miss it.
And it comes in different languages. Yeah.
So one of the things that we also want to do to help with getting our city back to how it was before. I know that unfortunately we'll never be able to get back fully. We have lost so many people. Businesses have been closed down. Our kids have definitely felt between the isolation and the not just the isolation, but just the difference in learning, and teachers have had to change how they've been doing everything. Businesses have had to completely figure out a new system, or restaurants are doing everything in a weird way, and it's been such a very difficult time for our city, but really for the entire world. So how are we going to get back? In addition to doing the core 4, which is that last slide right here, core 4, we want to make sure that everybody is able to get tested. And it's not just that you get tested just to get tested. I mean, you can. They are luckily available everywhere. In the cluster zone specifically, we have additional units, but they're now also outside of the cluster zone. So you'll see mobile units that are in other boroughs that are not experiencing a cluster at this time. I believe in the Bronx and in Staten Island, I believe there are some. I haven't checked today because every Monday they update the mobile sites. Some of them stayed the same as they were before if there was a cluster. Others may have moved around, but then there's also any H&H hospital and H&H facilities, so clinics have them. The easiest way that you can find a test is to go to this very simple website, nyc.gov/COVID tests. And that website is going to tell you where the permanent locations are, where the mobile ones are for this week, things like that. So who should get tested? Everybody. Immigration status is not an issue. Insurance status is not an issue. If you're going to one of the city sites or a lot of the places that have partnered with the city, it should not cost you a penny, even if you do not have even if you don't have an insurance plan. I know that CityMD is one of the locations that has partnered with the city to make sure that they do not, like, if you have insurance, they'll charge your insurance, but you as an individual will not feel a penny of that. Immigration status is not going to be asked, and this is not, any COVID related measures are not considered benefits under public charge rules. So for folks that are concerned that maybe they don't have their citizenship, or they're trying to get their green card, or trying to get their citizenship, that they've gone to go and get a test or something like that. Luckily, we have, it's not just us, but across the country, it's not considered a public benefit because we have to stop the spread. That's more important than anything else. You can get tested all the time. You, for example, if you're in a setting that you really are with a very vulnerable community, if you work, my sister, for example, works in a hospital. She gets tested once a week. She goes downstairs, down one floor or so, gets tested, comes back, does the rest of her job. A test is very, very simple. I've gotten them done. I've gotten the short swabs. I've gotten the long swabs. I've gotten a rapid test. I've gotten a not rapid test. The rapid test, I think it took 15 minutes to get a result. And then I believe it was either the next day or the day after that where I got the full results. So, and it depends kind of on how many people are getting tested and the how quick the locations are, but I have gotten tests within 24 hours. So we are concerned about a possible exposure, or if you're concerned about a possible exposure, if you've got any COVID-19 symptoms, if you work in a any kind of residential setting like a shelter or nursing home, or any of these homes that I know a lot of folks are involved with, or if you are either a high risk or going to visit someone who's high risk, please get tested. They are available, and so you have to really remember that you're doing this for others, because it's not just to get tested. There's a second part of it. So that leads us to the trace part. So the test and trace core does three things mainly: test, trace, and take care. Now let's talk about what happens if you've got a positive result. If you've got a negative result and you're using an H&H location, you'll probably go to My Charts, but you'll also get a call saying, hey, you're negative. And that's the end of that interaction. You don't have to deal with the H&H folks until you're going to get another test. If you get a positive reaction or a positive result, this is the second part, this test, this trace part. So there is a difference. There is contacts and there are cases. Cases are the actual people who are sick. They've been shown to be sick. They tested positive for COVID. Then we've got contacts. So they're going to, the person from H&H is going to call you, it's called a tracer, and say, hey, you've tested positive for COVID-19. We're going to have to identify your close contacts. So individuals who were next to you within a certain time frame, they're going to ask them questions, and then they're going to take all of the information that they can. With the more testing that we have, that means that that tracer is then going to call their contacts and say, hey, we've got a situation. They do not tell you who you were with that was tested positive. What they will say is someone that has that we have identified as a close contact with you during a particular period has tested positive. Again, they do not give any information or say when it was or anything else. It was more of, we've identified you as a potential close contact. And that means that you're going to have to go get tested and self-quarantine. So what they do for cases are the people who were tested positive. They have to quarantine for 10 days. The reason it's 10 days is because they were already sick once they were tested, which means that there is a certain amount of days that have already passed. And so they're going to educate them about the COVID-19 diagnosis. They monitor them every day for new or worse illness. They identify the contacts, which we just talked about. They recommend and support them in isolation. That's going to be the next part we're going to talk about, which is the take care part. And that's also the evaluate their needs for supportive services. So some people are on medicine that has nothing to even do with COVID, but also could be for COVID, if they need like cough syrup or something like that. The take care part of the test, trace, and take care is going to make sure that you can have your medication delivered to your home. They're going to make sure that there are different things that you might need. If you need food that you cannot afford, if you need a hotel. So this is a big thing. A lot of people don't know about this, but if you are tested positive and you live in a setting where you're living with your grandparents and you're living with people who've got underlying medical conditions that are more susceptible to getting sick and having, not just getting sick with asymptomatic things, but specifically getting sick and they may have to be put in the hospital. They can isolate you in a hotel for 10 days. And this is going to be something that they do for free. So the most important thing is you don't want to, unfortunately, lose a family member that is in your house because you can't afford to go somewhere else. The city will actually put you up in a hotel. And they're also going to let the people know when they can leave isolation. It's been 10 days, you're free to go. It may seem very odd, but this is for everybody's safety. What they do for contacts. So contacts are the close people that have been identified that they themselves have not tested positive for COVID-19, but they may be exposed to it. So these tracers call those contacts. They tell them about the illness and what their exposure is. They monitor for daily and for new and worsening illness. They recommend support and support them in quarantining. That's the same thing as we were talking about before, where it's that hotels, the foods, the medication, laundry, things like that. And then they're also going to let them know when they can leave quarantine. Now, if that contact does test positive, then, and let's say they test positive right away, then it may not be the 14 days, that will be the 10 days, but that's what but for people that are asymptomatic, they take 14 days because that's how long it can take for the virus to show up. So be ready for test and trace. This is something that I'm going to ask all of you on a call that's very, very important. A lot of folks have been getting, and I know I get this all the time, I don't even know how many calls that are, scam calls. What's very important is we want to make sure that people aren't just ignoring all of their calls. So if you have gotten a test, look out for something that either says NYC Test and Trace or a phone number starting with 212-540 or 212-242. Those are two numbers that are going to be from the Test and Trace program. So if you are getting that, if you've gotten tested, please don't ignore those calls when they come in. But in addition to that, contacts may not know that somebody's been tested or tested positive, so they wouldn't know. So I want to make sure that all of you can let your folks know that if there are numbers that start with 212540 or 212242, that this is very, very important for them to pick those calls up. Check your voicemail, answer the questions honestly. That is what we are hoping for. Make sure healthcare provider has your current phone number. So that's very important. And if you think you were exposed to COVID-19 and have not been called by a tracer, you should still get tested. So I've had that situation happen twice where two of my coworkers who we were in close proximity, they weren't feeling so good the next day. So they went and got tested, but they gave me a call ahead of time to just say, hey, we were next to each other. I'm not saying that I have anything, but please go and, or I got tested. And so I went to get tested as well. Luckily, everybody came out negative, including the coworker. But if you were exposed, it's better to get tested to know. So don't wait for a tracer if you feel like you might have been in a situation. I know that sometimes there are a lot of rallies going on. We're getting close to election day. Early voting has already started. If there's a place that you're going to that has a large group of folks, please go and get tested because you never know who you're around. And the last part of the test and trace part is the take care part. I kind of spoke about this a little bit. So it's a wraparound service that they do both at home and the hotels. So if you're able to stay in your home, they're going to make sure that you have all the resources you need, from medical care and mental health resources to getting your medicine, to making sure that you have food in your house, to making sure that you understand what your illness means. And then for the hotel program, for people that cannot safely stay at home because of other people who live in that house with them or in their apartment that are at risk, they can stay from 10 to 14 days, whether they were a contact or a case, in a hotel for free. And so this dependents can come stay with you if they need to. 3 free meals a day, Wi-Fi, TV, transportation to the hotel and home. Nurses are on site 24/7. You can also do telepsychiatry online or by phone. And this, you cannot come in or go or have, you cannot leave or have visitors come in. But it is still available. So you can't go to a party because you promised someone. You really have to isolate. These are some of the links that I spoke about. And again, this is just like some quick things. There's a lot more resources available as well. But the big things are the COVID zones, the COVID tests, and this document is the restrictions. And if you will all bear with me, I want to go through some of the information about what this or the websites. So this is, okay, this is that last document that I spoke about that has a very long URL. This goes into the different zones. This document is available in multiple languages. So and it even has all zones, which is like the core 4, plus getting tested. And so this is where you can find that. And that can be found on the Department of Health's website. That's nyc.gov/DOH. Click on COVID right here, and then you can go through all of this. If you have questions about a specific business and whether that is a restricted area in a zone, you can click this link right over here, which says zone restrictions by facility type. And they go into very, very specific things, like everything from construction and lawyers and everything else. So I don't have to go into that one too much. I'm going to quickly show you how to do the COVID zones. Click COVID zones. It's going to take you to this page right here. And right on top, you're going to put an address. So let's go with 1234 Avenue S. I believe that would be in a red zone. Let's see. And then you see on the map, right here. And on the side, right over here, it says you're located in a red zone. It gives you the specifics, what that means for house of worship, gatherings, business, dining, schools. If you want to look at something else, let's say, this would be a yellow zone. It'll go into that with those restrictions mean right on the side. And if you wanted to go into something, 253 Broadway, if you wanted to go into something, it says you are not currently located in a designated hotspot. So it's still spreading. Find out more, and then when you click here, you're going to get to the Department of Health's website. All these these websites are available in multiple languages. If you want to read this particular page, you can do so in English, Spanish, Russian, traditional Chinese, Korean, Arabic, Urdu, I believe, Italian,
Mandarin?
yeah, Mandarin, Vietnamese. Well, there's a few of them. Unfortunately, this is not written out exactly which language is which, but and then you can look through all of these things. And if you wanted to get any kind of guidance or any kind of posters or flyers, you can do so on the site, and you could share these. And again, these are all in different languages. That is the majority of the things that I wanted to show you. And so I'll just show you very quickly about the tests, which is nyc.gov/COVID test. That website will bring you here. It'll talk about the tests. Where can I get tested? These are the ones for this week, the mobile spots. So you'll see them in different parts of the city. Including the Bronx at Mullally Park, and Brooklyn in a number of locations, Queens, and 2 in Staten Island. So we don't have any in Manhattan because we don't have anything like that. In addition to that, you can look at this map and put your address, and it'll find the closest one to you. So these are kind of the things that I wanted to speak about. The one thing I just want to go back to my presentation very quickly is this part. Thank you. If anybody has any questions or would like to have anything that they want to discuss when it comes to COVID-19, please let me know. I will do my best. I've got a lot of information, so please, anybody.
Maria, before we, and I'm going to remind everyone who has questions, and I'm going to ask, because I know we had elected official was on, and I want to see if she's still. This one is from Assemblywoman Fontes. Jenny, you're on. Jenny from Assemblywoman Matilda's office. You there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. You have anything you want to say anything?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, Maria, all those good information. We stopped over the weekend, started Friday. We stopped at the businesses, giving them the printed information to put on their windows. We have masks people could pick up at the office. We did a few distribution. Again, we still have a few left here in the office. People could stop by and pick up. We are here to support you guys, whatever you need. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please give our regards to the Assemblywoman.
I will do. Actually, I think
Debbie.
she was watching you guys on Facebook.
I'll tell her thank you.
Oh, so I know it's working. Thank you. At least someone makes me feel
Thank you.
better.
Please tell me
Yes.
hello.
And please, Jenny, let them know if people missed the day one. The next one is tonight. Also, it starts at 6 o'clock.
Will do.
Same code.
Thank you, guys.
No
You're
problem.
welcome. Thank you.
Now let's move on to. One second. Tina?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Maria, for that great presentation. But I just had a 2-part question.
Sure.
I have a child that would not be able to do the regular test most likely. So we did an antibody test on her. do you recommend that we do them again also, not just particularly with her, but with anybody else that's been out and about, getting out in the street now, as per not staying in like they used to do?
So the way that the city considers the antibody test is if you've tested positive on the antibody test, and then 3 months later you've still tested positive, they do consider that a case. The current test, which definitely we understand that a lot of, not just young kids, but a lot of people may not be able to do those tests. There is now the short swab test, which is I've done both. The short swab, I didn't have an issue with it. I thought it was significantly easier. It's more of a Q-tip versus what the longer one was, and they don't go all the way in. We jokingly call them kid-friendly because they are better for the young kids, a lot more comfortable. But if you want to do the antibody test and then 3 months later you're still testing positive, that's considered a positive result. The only thing is that we may not know when you were sick with COVID-19. So it could have been that you had it a month before and you're completely over it, or it could mean that you're currently sick. So that's what makes it a little bit more difficult. I don't know if you've looked into the new tests for the children. That might be an easier way. It doesn't go all the way in, but I understand it's not, especially for a lot of kids who may have disabilities, but or just younger, it may be a little bit more difficult for them to take it. So
Now, also, I just wanted to ask too,
Mhm.
if a person has tested negative long time ago, let's say they did the test in July, do you recommend that they do it again just to be on the safe side, because things are changing, people are loosening up a little bit?
yeah, 100% get tested often. And we have so many tests available, thank goodness, in New York City. It's not an issue. There are a lot of places that you can go, so whatever is the most convenient. If you can't make it to a particular clinic and you want to go to a mobile site because it's a lot closer to you, you can do that. If you want to go somewhere else that maybe you feel more comfortable with, absolutely. But definitely, especially if you've not been completely isolated in your home, because you don't know when you could be a risk or if you're a risk.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you
you,
very
Tina.
much.
Tina, okay.
Tina, stay on your mic on, because
All right,
Debbie wants to chime
I
in.
want
It's a
to-
double beat.
Okay, we're going to double team this. Not Maria. Don't take it the wrong way. Tina and I,
Tina, unmute yourself.
we both we're besides us being parents of children with developmental disabilities, we chair the council in our borough. The issue that she didn't bring up, but I will state out. Many of our individuals will not take, definitely not the long swab in the nose, in depth, and maybe the short swab in the nose. We even have trouble with them doing blood tests. Now, is there a way that the city can partner with our agencies that have Article 16 and Article 28 clinics? For the reason is they have techniques that are used to work with our population. Because I can tell you straight out, the parent calls me and says their child is screaming and crying because they can't handle the test and the child can't speak. I don't want these parents to have problems. And I don't want, if they're under 18, I don't want ACS called on them. And I don't want, if they're adults over 18, I don't want APS, the Adult Protective Society, called on them either. Because you cannot help if you have a disability. And if you can't communicate, I know you understand, but is there a way you can have your bosses work something as a partner with OPWDD agencies that have Article 16 and 18 clinics? And also to let your testing sites know that if the parent or people identified, say these individuals have developmental disabilities, are very sensitive. They don't want them being nasty. I don't want them being rude. I don't want them calling them babies. Can that be done somehow?
So the workaround that I've been using is we have not gotten our daughter tested because she's very little, and it's not that in theory she can't get tested. It's more of we understand, like as parents, I'm not going to do that to her. So what we've done is we've gotten ourselves tested. If the both of us are negative, there's a good chance she's going to be negative. If she starts to exhibit any symptoms or anything like that, we can get ourselves tested. We are around her so often and we're in close contact that she would be considered a contact versus a case. And you can absolutely do that. So if you've got somebody in a household, especially someone that you're around, whether you are sleeping in the same bed with a person, whether you are, just like feeding that person, things like that, you know that you're a close contact. So you may not be listed as a case necessarily, you may be listed as a contact. And if somebody in your household that is that close and has tested positive, just consider that that person, whether it's a small child or an adult with disabilities or anyone in between, consider that they may be a contact, which means that they should isolate as well. You can all isolate together, that's not a problem, and that's kind of the workaround. When it comes to the schools, if you do not feel like your child can take the test, whether age, disability, or anything else, you do not have to give consent. The state has required the 20% testing every week, but that is in the yellow zones, but that also comes with students have to have their parents give consent in order to test them. So yeah, it's not a
Maria-
problem.
Maria, we understand that piece, but this is the problem we have. We have it more even, we've had it that our families with children of color, whatever, they have been threatened with ACS. Thank God we have a development disability unit, but also with the adults, I've had nurses, I've seen lab technicians, and, oh, don't be such a baby. Excuse me.
Yeah.
A person with developmental disabilities, regardless of that's under our umbrella, reacts and starts crying. They're not to be called babies. What I'm asking is there a way you can have your the mayor's office put a sensitivity, sell the stats. These children and adults, whether because it could be it could be an 80-year-old developmental disability person who's a 5-year-old in the body. They shouldn't be made fun, and they are. But that's the biggest worry Tina and I have, and Aaliyah will have, with our councils. We have a lot of our individuals, the children, cannot speak. Their way of complaining, they're hurt or in pain, screaming or crying.
Is this
And
in
the
school?
parent, no, this is not the school. This is going to the test sites. That's why I specifically said, and Tina will back me up with this. We want also that New York City, you've got test, meet with our clinics and the specialists that deal with our children and meet regularly with OPWD. The state does. We want to make sure the city's doing it because we have COVID reports every 2-3 weeks or even every week to make sure that no one in our population is going to be, the parents will be disrespected. Because if someone said that to me, I'm going to use an example because I can say legally. If someone ever said to me, oh, Chris, stop acting like a baby, I would be to the point where you would have to I would control myself, but I would look at them and say, I want your supervisor. I will not tolerate that anymore.
I'm going to actually bring that up to my commissioner.
This is serious. This has happened too many times.
So Deborah, what you're really asking for is sensitivity to the people that are giving tests. That's what you're really saying.
Yeah.
Yes, no more.
Are you also seeing this in other locations besides test sites when it comes to that? Because I want to bring to
Yes.
Maria, it's definitely, it's going
Tina, isn't it right? We go through this regularly, Tina?
Yes, it would be important.
And I can vouch for Queens as well, Maria.
And you know what, Maria? Tina and I, and Leo, get phone calls, texts, emails, and the parents are hysterical. I had a text the other day from a family, their child can't handle because since the COVID-19, all the ambulances that are going by, and he can't take the noise. and we have to get specialized help. But the first thing we're afraid of is we're going to have to deal, if they're under 18, we have to deal with ACS or APS if they're over. We want sensitivity. That's why, Walter, we do have clinics that deal with us, and this is needs. That's why, Tina, you bring up more too, because you're on your side too, please, from your part.
No, I think she understands what we're saying, though.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring this up to my commissioner. I think that there may be something in the works that is going to be very helpful, and definitely to make sure that these sites have staff, whether it's the practitioners that are actually administering the staff, whether it's the folks that are managing the lines or helping with paperwork, that they're all very sensitive to this, because it's not right for a parent to be disrespected, for a child to not feel safe. We never want children to not feel safe. That is, something that is very upsetting to hear. I'm sorry to any of the parents and any of the children that have had to go through that situation. And so I'm going to bring this up specifically to see what can be done, one, for sensitivity training, and two, to make the process a lot easier for everybody.
Thank you, Maria, because that's our biggest worry. If we had more people like you working in this system, and also because you understand, if more people act like you just listen to what we just said, what Tina and I just said, you wouldn't see us getting tense or nervous or like
Stress.
our back is up against the wall. I had my child almost taken from me, and he wasn't supposed to. And the head of the hospital is still apologizing to me. And it's more than 20 years ago. Anybody else have questions? Is Kristen or Tina, you have anything you want to bring up too? Anything else? Anybody else? Doris, you want to say something?
I think that this is
Thank you for putting this information in one place, and I felt it was very comprehensive, and I will definitely pass it on to my families.
Thank you so much.
And Doris, remind them also there is one going on this evening at 6 o'clock, so maybe you need to get some of them to come over. Maybe you should get the both Jackies.
Right. Well, Jackie Tribodi might be at the night one.
That's even good.
That's great.
But tell her bring a friend.
He'll bring friends.
Come on, I want numbers. Friends, because then you can have bragging rights.
I hear you.
Thank you.
The thing about this is, when we don't get a lot of questions, we can think about it as two ways. One is that, people just can't think of questions. And two is that I did such a good job of explaining.
I think it's number two. You did a second job of covering it. You definitely did.
Maria, you did a fantastic job. That's why I'm comfortable telling you how we really feel. That's why, because I know I'm safe telling you.
Maria, don't try to cry now, because the outside's already doing it. Let the outside do it.
Yeah.
I think that it's important for especially folks that are voices for other communities. I know that sometimes, parents, they're working, they're trying to take care of their kids, they're trying to do 600,000 things at the same time. And for all of you to be able to get the information, I can, of course, send out like quick bullet points about this. I just wanted to make sure that if you're getting incoming, let's say it's a day that I won't be available, for you to be able to have some of that information, because sometimes if a parent is very upset and they're on the phone and they've got some serious questions, it may take, let's say you have to find my contact information, you have to send me an email. If it's a day that I'm off, for example, I may not get back to you right away, or if I'm, physically in a distribution site or I'm out in the field, there may be that delay, and that parent is just going to get more and more nervous. So I hope to be able to give you the tools for you to be able to answer some of those questions right away, so those parents can feel at ease.
Can you please give us your email
Yeah,
address?
absolutely. And let me actually put that right on the screen. Hang on.
Easier
one
that
moment.
way to just.
All right. That's the one thing I always forget.
Oh.
Let's see. There we go.
Maria, you might have to shrink it a little bit.
Just shrink it one little bit, just so we can get that lovely C at the end, the New York.
Got it. All right. Hang on one second. All right.
Sound like a train going through.
I have a new,
There we go.
there we go.
Oh, I can
Have
see it.
a new version of PowerPoint. So I was like, wait a second, where did they move this to? Where did they move that to?
Trust me. Well, actually, it's been easier for me.
So this is my email address. I'm available all the time, pretty much. Sometimes there is going to be a delay. I've been in distribution sites a lot recently, and sometimes I'm out in the field. Unfortunately, I can't always be in every single location, or like at home, like I am today. But this is a good way to get a hold of me, and so please feel free to take down my email address. I have a daily email blast that I sent out. If you want to be added to that email blast, all you have to do is just send me an email and just say, please add me, and that's it. That's all I need, because then I have your email. And that email blast has everything from the press releases of the day to the important links. If there's some news that's very, very time sensitive, things like that, we put in everything we can. It's got a lot of different information. Some things are very, maybe I'll have a bullet that's very business based, another one that's all about schools, something else about voting, things like that. The one thing I do want to actually say that's not really on the slide, because not so much with test and trace, but we are already started the early voting. I have a little vote necklace that my sister got me, so I should brag with that. Poll sites are so because of COVID, voting looks very different this year. You have 3 options. You can vote on election day as always. You can vote absentee, and I believe you can still today request an absentee ballot. You can vote by mail, or you can vote in early voting. The early voting numbers that it started on Saturday. I went to go and vote. I'm so excited to take my daughter. And then we got to the poll site, and the line was so long that I said, I can't do this to her because she won't have the stamina to stay on this line. I know that certain people, the lines were so long. Yes, partially because of social distancing, but also because there were so many people that they would stretch around the entire block. So even with early voting, the sites are open. If you go online to the department or to the Board of Elections website, you can check your poll sites for early voting and for all the time voting. But in whether you're in a red zone or else or anywhere else, that is not taken into consideration as like a non-essential gathering. So those locations, definitely you have to stay that 6 feet and you have to wear a mask at the polls. Otherwise, that's going to be a serious issue for poll workers and for your fellow voters. But if you have any questions about that and voting and what it means in the time of COVID, please send me an email. If you're at a poll site and you see something is very wrong, send me an email. We want to make sure that everybody's safe at the polls. So if you're seeing that poll workers are not wearing their masks or something like that, send me an email, let me know what site you're at, and we will definitely make sure that that gets addressed as soon as possible.
Maria, I'm gonna just check. Does anyone else have any questions? Since I did the Doris. Helen Reyes, or should I call you Helen 19? Do you have any question? Or Sam? Let me see.
Samantha from. Okay.
Miss Stevens, do you have any questions?
No, no questions.
Thank you. Maria, you did a fantastic
One
job.
second. Helen? Oh, I just got you, Helen.
Hi, Ellen.
Hello, Helen.
Christopher,
Yes?
Hi. Wonderful meeting. And I
Not
want to
bad.
congratulate Chris and the mask force.
Oh, okay.
Excellent job.
Well, yeah, I did a good job, didn't I, Helen?
Yes, you did, Deborah.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, Tina's second in election.
Thank you, Tina. I need that. I need that announcement. Thank you.
But also, Marie, but Helen, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I'm all good. This is very insightful. I really appreciate it.
And
My pleasure.
and Helen, do some
Yes.
get some of your people to remind them there's another one on tonight at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Tell them there's
Yep.
no excuses. Or tell them I'm going to give them grief.
There you go. No excuses.
And remember,
You've
tell them,
accommodated everybody.
again, tell them that the bigger kahuna, me, is behind the back plowing.
And as well as the other B from
And the other B, the Bronx and Brooklyn cheers, where we just want to see everybody
and
on.
as well as Queens.
And we know Queens definitely, so.
And I want to thank the few people that are here also. I thank you very much.
You ready, Tina? Tina, you want to say thank you specifically to anybody? You have the mic. Go ahead, my dear.
I want to say specifically to everyone, Chris for putting it together, and to Miss Maria for coming out. I really appreciate her taking the time out of her day to do this also. Good information.
Excellent.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Helen, repeat that again.
She said excellent.
I said excellent. Maria,
Thank you.
excellent.
Thank
So
you.
informative. She knows her stuff.
Well,
Thank you,
Maria,
everybody.
Maria, I have to say something. The way you explained it was so much easier for us to understand because you really did a great job with explaining to us the issues. And when we brought up issues to you, you were very helpful to us. And maybe we can get the city to work with our Article 16 and 28 clinics, so with our population, so that we can work to see how we can get not just especially our individuals, their families, but even the staff that works with us.
You know, Maria, there was one question that somebody was supposed to be here that may have the question for you. Maria,
Yep.
if a person wants to do their own test site,
Mhm.
what's the instructions of those?
Send
set
me
it up.
an email. So there are certain sites, maybe a microsite could be an option. What you would need to do is send me an email with your name and your contact information, the location where you would want to have it. And let me just, sorry, I'm just very quickly going to look up. There are a few different requirements. So if you just bear with me for just one moment, I'll tell you what is needed from the folks, because there is a commitment that is needed. So this is not just something that hang on. It's not just that you say you want to do it and that's the end of that.
We
But
understand.
okay, so here's what is needed. So they operate every day, including weekends, from 10 to 3. They can, the T2, which is the test and trace team, can consider one-time testing in some cases, but they try to do a few days in a row, usually Monday through Friday. The microsites, what the partners are need to provide. They need to provide preferably indoor space because especially when the weather gets not so nice. So yes, they can do outdoor space, but the indoor would be preferable. If there is indoor space, they have to have an openable window or be well ventilated. T2 is going to bring all the PPE and cleaning supplies to wipe down all surfaces. So that's not going to be the responsibility of any of the folks. It's going to be the responsibility of the test and trace site. If it's going to be an outdoor space, there has to be a plan to move indoors during cold or inclement weather options. That's something that's strongly encouraged. They require one table and at least 2 chairs. They require a staff member to remain on site for the duration of testing, especially during the setup and the striking times, so 9:30 to 3:30. And they just have to be present at the site. And it's mainly for things like if something goes wrong, if the power is out, somebody that can do that. So if that's a custodian, that's fine. It doesn't have to be someone who is, making like large decisions, but like to make sure that there's no issues with the bathrooms and things like that. Let's see, there has to be a commitment to promote the testing event in the community. So the Test and Trace program will provide the flyer, but it would be up to that location to bring it out to their community. So social media, email blasts, things like that. If possible, to store some of the testing kits and the PPE for the week. So that way it's a little bit easier to set up every day. And if that is something that a team of yours would be interested in, send me an email. I'll send them the link. And if they need specifics, again, not just explain verbally, but also like a step-by-step, I will send that email to them as to what they're required, and then they can apply to be a site.
Did everyone understand that?
Okay,
Okay.
I heard shakes heads. How about Tina from the Bronx? Let's double check.
You got that.
I'm good.
Well, of course we're good.
We know. You know what? We also need to acknowledge that this is a very important thing to know, that maybe one or two of the agencies and maybe OPWD can also partner with you, Maria, because we do have DVROs and we do maybe have agencies that maybe be able to provide a safe testing site, but that we'll have to check and investigate. But it is an excellent idea, because I do know that we need to figure out how to keep this COVID-19 spread as low as possible. There is no cure yet, but let's see what help we can do so we don't overwhelm our healthcare workers.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yes. Does anyone else have any questions for Maria? And I'm gonna say, if she's that good, then I'm gonna say, wow, this is
We
right.
must have done. We did fine. This is great. But everybody who's on, Tina, I'm not talking about us, but please contact your agency, your friends, your families, and have them watch it tonight at 6 o'clock. We're really trying to make sure that everybody gets to understand. We're trying to give the correct information, no misinformation. This is why Tina, myself, and Leo will be here tonight. Why the 3 boroughs we decided we needed to pair together. We want to make sure that COVID is kept to a very minimum.
And that's why you see me wearing this shirt every meeting. But this time you see me wearing my Sloan sleeve shirt, because this is the new one. And just to remind everyone, this is something to add from Maria, this information. MTA will let you volunteer to give out face masks. They should be doing that next month. The only thing that I'm trying to push, and I think Maria, I think your office can vouch with me, is we need to push it a little more South Brooklyn, because our zone for South Brooklyn starts at Atlantic Avenue. There is no way I'm going to travel all the way from Atlantic to go all the way to Coney Island. There's something's got to be even them out.
We need to get it spread out. So we're going to ask you, Maria, to talk to the mayor's community affairs. Also, any elected official who is on for Brooklyn, anything in Brooklyn South, out in our end of the world. Of course, Tina will let us know which areas of the Bronx need to be covered.
Bronx is definitely
and
covered.
Queens, but truthfully, we need more distribution, handing out masks in southern Brooklyn. I would love to see something in Sheepshead Bay, Kings Highway, Stillwell Avenue, Bay Parkway. I'm talking about
Gun Hill Road.
Gun Hill Road. We have 3 stations that do Kings Highway. That includes with the F as well as the N train. And Bay Parkway is the D train.
And
And it is an elevated, any of our elevated stations, Brooklyn College area student, since it's that is a major transfer point for buses that come in from Rockaway, as well as we get buses that come in from East New York, Southern Brooklyn, Queens, and we also have a college there, Brooklyn College. So we need to make sure that everything is distributed all over. And also hand sanitizer. Does the transit system still have where you can refill your
yes,
your
at the train
bottle?
station. At the train station. If you have this bottle, Maria can just mention it earlier. This beautiful bottle, Maria, there.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, because you look so serious, you're scaring me there.
What's the reason?
I'm trying to concentrate and look.
I know, no, because you look. Let's just tell you later. This is the bottle. If you ever get this bottle, you can refill it at a train station. And let me tell you, it smells good.
And by the way,
And I'm going to say that the truth. It does smell
by
good.
the way, in the back of Chris's shirt, it tells you to wear. Stop the spread.
Well, I can't turn around. So
wear masks.
it's
No, we'll take the. Where's your other T-shirt?
it's in the safe. But anyway, but in this language, there's different language behind me, so you'll see me wearing this. And now they're giving out button. They even do the button. So let's make sure everyone please wear a mask at all times. If you do not wear a mask, the fine on the subway, bus, whatever, and Metro North is $50.
What about the individual people we know that wear face shields because they can't
Face shields are allowed to be
with the
worn.
masks?
Yeah, no,
They
face
can't.
shields are allowed to be worn. It's protecting the face. They're allowed to wear. But I remind you, if a driver gives you a hard time, please visit MyMTA / comment and complaints and put it in, because the more people put it in, or you can email me, the driver gets their own $150 fine in violation of American Disability Act and senior. And that's including young children if they harass them.
Yes, if a little child is having
I'm
trouble and they
talk-
put a shield over the face,
Yeah,
that works
that works
for
fine.
a child.
And we want to make it clear that the driver needs to have a sensitive, regular tone. If he has a bad attitude tone and curses,
That's not allowed.
you don't have to say anything. Mr. Cameron on the bus will
All
look
right,
at
by
him.
the way, also what's very important is that we have to have, the people have to know, the people who have hearing disabilities may need to have to wear masks or a face shield so that one, you can see them, but if they say, if the person who comes on and says, I can't understand you, or signs it, you really realize that why they're wearing the clear shield. All right, is there anybody else has any questions? Okay,
Tina, are you still there, or you disappear on me?
where'd Tina go? All right,
Well, I'll say this for Tina. Well, wait a minute, where's Secret?
Who?
Wow, she disappeared on me. Tina disappeared on
okay,
me.
well, she must, but with this, Maria, it's so great to see you. Again, we'll see each other later. And yes, even if you were on now, you of course can come back on. It's fine. We love seeing everybody. And we all want to thank everybody, especially we thank everyone who came. And we know that you all represent so many different groups. So please, we want to thank you. Maria, especially want to thank you. You did a fantastic job. So many
Thank
people don't understand the way you did. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yes,
You're welcome.
yeah. If you want to tell them, if they claim that they said, "How did you do?" Tell them this. Tell them the double B's and a Q will say to them, A+. And then if I have to come over there, no problem.
Tell Mayor Bloomberg.
Oh my
sorry.
God.
Tell Mayor de Blasio that he'll see Deborah from Brooklyn. No, so I am. With the her little short cousin Ann, we'll all be there. Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
We'll see if someone will see you at 6 o'clock. Pass the word around.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.